Hey everybody, what's going on? Emo Time is here, and I am here sitting with, once again, your Grand Finals finisher, Matthew Okimoto. First place again, as you can see. We got the man. He left the trophies, tired of carrying them around. But he finished this weekend mono water, which I'm really excited about. I'm glad to see it's finally up in the forefront again. And I have him here for you to talk about the list. He may go over his choices and overall why he brought it. So, Oki, if you would, please.
I will.
Take it away.
Let's start with what will probably make everyone's eyes open. 2 Yuna, 1 Artemisian, 1 Waka, 1 Summoner, and 3 Geomancer.
Let's go. Let's go over it.
So the first part is people are probably going to think this is crazy. Honestly, I am those people. I think it's crazy too. It was originally this. It was 3 Yuna, 2 Geomancer. But the issue we had is we wanted to be able to get to 5 backups that are not breakable by Hecaton and Fenrir, right? So if we're like this, it's 2 Yuna, right? We can only get to 4. These both can get broken by Hecaton, which means our Ashes can never hit for 10k. So we're like, okay, in the Warrior Light match, we need to be able to get to 5 backups that can't be broken by Hecaton, so we can always Ash their Warrior Light. So how do we do that? Bam, 5 backups. That way, that's what we had to make the sacrifice for. KP. Oh, so I guess to put it more knowledge out there, KP, Lopez, Chris Daniels, and I all ran the same 50. KP did the math for the 2 Yuna versus the 3 Yuna and the 3 Geomancer versus 2 Geomancer. And at the end of the day, I didn't test this swap going in. I was testing 3 Yuna going in. But KP was like, no man, we got to do this. Here's why. And I was like, all right, I trust you. This is crazy to me, but I trust you. And the logic he talked about made sense. Maybe he'll do a video about it later. I don't know. But basically, if you're still during turn 1, you always just grab Yuna anyways. So there's no reason to have a 3rd Yuna. Anyways, this is the backup, very low backup count. This is probably only doable while Sildra is a playable card. You're not going to get away with this without Sildra in the deck, I'll say that right now. But yeah, Artemisian, I will say too, also, before we remove from the backups, this deck was basically inspired off of JFB's mono water deck. I don't know if anyone saw his deck in the UK. JFB did really, really well with it. And he's also the madman that runs low backup count decks. So that inspired this. He ran Kyrie over Artemisian. Personally, I think it's not a big deal, but I like Artemisian because I like to get another mulligan in case I brick. And then he ran the Summoner and the Waka. The Summoner is insane because you get to get it off of Sildra and then play get Sildra back and do Sildra again. It's just very, very good. So yeah, that's the backups. And then we will go with the forwards. So first, we have the 3 Lightning. That's basically self-explanatory for mono water. You need that in the aggro matchups. You have the 2 Lena with the 3 Leviathan. Again, in the aggro matchups, you're pitching your hand, you're just stalling, trying to get to where you can Lena Leviathan, and that usually stabilizes you. So I think this is pretty cut and dry for the water. You have the 3 Ash. You have the 3 Ash, again, just a lot of removal, and very, very cheap. And because the way our backups work with Sildra, we can get to 5 backups by turn 4 with like 4 cards in hand or 3 cards in hand and Echidna. I can maybe ask KP to do a video about it later, but long story short, we can get to 5 backups by turn 4 with 3 cards in our hand, or 3 cards in hand with an Echidna in play, or 4 cards in our hand. And that helps us be able to Ash really early against the aggro decks that we need to. We have the 3 Titus. I was back and forth. I almost wanted to go to 2, but there's some matchups where he just wins games, and you just throw them out there, and he's hard to answer, so that's why there's 3 of that guy. And then here, we decided to do the split of 2 EX and 1 counter. The reason we put this in the deck is because the 13 matchup, we wanted to be able to Sildra for like Lightning and Porum, Lightning and Sildra, etc. Because if this is in the field, we can always just turn off Lightning, like it buys us turns. Because against the 13 deck, we just need to buy turns till we get to the Lena Leviathan. Yeah, and this is the forwards.
Full art tight is going up this weekend.
Hope you got him.
Hope you got him, and if you don't, well.
Then here's the monsters: 3 Blue Worm, 2 Trove, 2 Chinya, and 2 Tomberry. So I think most mono water decks, if you've seen, is usually 1 Tros, and some of them don't even run Tomberry. This is usually like the basic water package. You have your 3 Blue Worm, your Tros, and your 2 Echidna. JFB in his list ran 3 Waters Iding. So for me, I don't think I have the cojones to run Waters Iding in our meta because it's a lot more angry. So I decided Tom Brady's better. Tom Brady's also better in some of the aggro matchups. I wanted to make sure I didn't lose to aggro, basically, if you could tell. At least locally and what I played against, there's a lot of aggro decks. I want to make sure I have outs to aggro decks. Also, this is very good against board wipes. Like if I force them to position where they need a Shantoto or whatever, or 5 CP Hecaton, I still can threaten lethal. This is very good for setting up like Levy 9 into attack with monster turns. So this also helped me in the ice matchup when they try to, like, if I have one card in hand and they Unileska me to try to like discard with a Biblos in play, I just pitch it to activate Tom Brady. I don't dull freeze anything if I needed to. So this right there. Originally we were 1-tro, but we know a lot of people were upping the 5 CP Fenrir count and more monster removal. Some of the ice lightning decks were running 3 CP Ramu, 1 CP Ramu. I think in Japan they were running the 1 CP Ramu in some of them. Also Ixion. And this card is so good in like the certain matchups where we didn't want to worry about losing one. So if we lose one, we still have another one. That was basically the big deal. Also, it'd be nice to randomly naturally draw into it against the aggro decks. So that's why those are there. And then the summons. We'll start off with the card that everybody loves. Yes, Sildra. Very balanced card. Don't touch it, please. Thank you. I'm kidding. Please touch it. We have the 3 Opus 1 Leviathan. This card has been really, really good. I can't describe how good it is. It saves our forwards. It saves our monsters if they try to kill it. It sets up lethal turns. I won a lot of my games by just getting to the point where I can double Leviathan attack for game, and it's just like very, very good. Hooch Lane, insanely good versus, again, the aggro matchups. You don't have to worry about haste. You don't got to worry about anything tricky. This was actually randomly very good in the Warrior Light matchup too, because they had Warrior Light, Rosa, all that kind of stuff, and I could turn it off before I start doing what I want to do so they can't interact with my board. It's very, very good. 6 CP Levy, again, very good against the aggro decks, very good against 13. And it provides us an amount of recursion for our forwards, which is very, very important. Because we don't have a very high forward count. So this is very, very important for that. Most lists are 3 Poo-Poo. I went to 2 Poo-Poo, mostly because I wanted to go up my monster count, which is we have the extra Tros. And I didn't really find this card too useful, but EX is nice, and sometimes you can time it where you can, like, pitch your hand to cast Sildra and then have 1 CP open, and then this is the last card in hand. You can poo-poo on the stack. So you can draw 2 cards and then finish your Sildra search. So you can like set up turns like that where poo-poo can be good, but most of the time it was pitched for CP and just a nice EX in case I had like dead cards in my hand. Helps fill the break zone for let up. And then we have 1 of each of these Leviathans. If I'm not mistaken, I think JFB was 2 of these Leviathans.
2 of which? The cancel or
the bounce? Each of us bounced for it. I'm pretty sure he was 2 of the double bounce. But I wanted to split it up. I think going one of the like pseudo Amat Leviathan plus one of these this was very important, especially randomly in the mirror stopping 9 CP Leviathans. This is very good too with Union play, especially with like Lightning and Ash. You just want to replay them. Shout out to Sergio. But yeah, I think these are very good tech choices. Yeah, they perform very well. I very rarely use the remove forwards because most of my time I needed those for the Leviathan, but this was a very good canceling effect. I felt very safe. It's like, when you're sitting on an Amaterasu, you feel safe. That's basically what this gave the feeling of. Yeah, and those are all of these summons.
So a quick question while we're still on the summons. You made a lot of cuts. Well, not a lot of cuts, but traditionally we see stuff like Atomos, Remoras. What are the thoughts behind cutting all of that stuff, right? Mostly for me as a water player is Atomos, right? Like, where are you guys on that?
So Atomos is very good. However, it doesn't have this in the top right-hand corner. EX.
Yes, I agree.
And they also get to choose which forward. This has EX. I also get to choose which forward gets bounced. I also get to draw a card if Tros is in play. But most importantly, it's EX because, again, I don't want to die versus the aggro decks. And sometimes, like, I was testing Atomos, and I would hit it in damage. I'm like, dang, if that was a Leviathan, I could stop another attacker and, like, live. But it wasn't, so... yeah, so basically, I just mostly for the EX and the fact that I can choose what I answer. It doesn't answer, but it gives me turns. Because, again, all you need is turns, right, to get to the Leviathan versus those matchups. But yeah, that's the reason why I know Atomos.
And then Remora, just because we're not that.
We're never gonna have like that many cards in hand where we ever want to, like, you never want to cast for more from the hand, right? It's always like a Rydia for free or EX, but you never want to cast it. So yeah, it doesn't really kill a lot either. You have to have a lot of cards in your hand to kill things.
I guess the final question too is like overall in general, why did you guys decide on water this weekend? Like we saw that Japan and you know, the color pile decks have been popping up everywhere now. Would you say this is a good matchup into that, or did you just play the field, right? Like, what's the question? What's the answer?
I think mono water is like 60-40 versus most decks going first. So I think like water's slightly favored. Your game plan as water is very straightforward. What I like about it is your game plan is straightforward, but there is a skill factor in how you set up your turns that most people when they play against it can't really map that out. But as far as choosing mono water, one, I didn't really want to play Warrior Light because everyone's playing Warrior Light. I played Warrior Light a lot, and I was like, it's a fun deck. I honestly do think it was still one of the best decks for the tournament. Like, I think if I ran Warrior Light, I'd still be just as happy playing it. But I kind of wanted just to try mono waters because it looked fun. I talked to JFB a lot and Alex too, and they were both like, mono water is really good. I'm surprised no one plays it. And I was like, well. I'm not, because there's not a lot of water players in NA, right? I mean, like you and like Zaim, like the few that come up top of my head, there's not really a lot of mono water players, right? So I was like, oh, I'll give it a try. I've never played mono water for a big event, so I was like, oh, something different. I want to like kind of practice for nationals because it's gonna be 2-deck format. So I want to play different kinds of decks every events I play in, so I can have that practice with all types of decks. But I do think mono water is pretty well positioned. After this tournament, maybe not. We'll see. I think it's still a fine deck, but I do think there was a little bit of like I guess I won't say surprise factor because mono water is a deck, but like people didn't really maybe respect it as much going in.
For sure.
And I think they might respect it a little bit more, so it'll definitely change. But yeah, I just thought it's a fun deck. I like to EX things, and yeah, it's just mostly because it is really fun to play.
Sure. All right, man. That's good to know. Honestly, congratulations, man. I'm always happy to see you like stomp the grounds everywhere we go. But
thanks.
For everyone listening, I hope you learned something. Oki, do you want to give a shout out to anybody, of course?
Shout out to my wife,
Angie?
first and foremost.
Can we get Angie in here? Is that a thing?
Does she want to get in the video?
No. Okay.
Yeah, shout out to her. She luckily she was able to join us today. Her parents watch the kids, but normally she's watching the twins while I get to go to these events and taking all that brunt work. So without her, I wouldn't be able to even play the game or travel. So big shout out to her. You know, shout out to all my locals, the Light, Greg, everyone for all the support. Shout out to KP, Lopez, Chris Daniels, everyone for working on the deck with me. Shout out to you guys for coming out. Shout out to the event. It's always good to see you. Saw you in Florida, saw you here. Wish I was seeing you in Texas, but life calls.
Hopefully I can see you at Nationals.
Oh, I'll see you at Nationals.
Yeah.
I'm confident you'll get to Nationals. It's on record now, so you can't let me
It's
down.
on record
No
now.
pressure.
No pressure. All right,
But yeah, thank you.
All right, man. Well, thank you and congratulations, everyone. The deck list will be in the description as soon as they're up. And yeah, take care, Oki.
Thank you.